Well, for more on the situation in Ukraine, I spoke to Michael Bossaque. He's a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. Michael, you were recently in Ukraine, where you're based in Odessa. We've seen this wave of Russian attacks, Ukraine losing its positions on the front lines in terms of the battlefield. What's the feeling right now on the ground there in Ukraine?
Yeah, good to be with you, Carl. Not very good at all. There's basically three front lines happening right now. One, of course, is the physical one, which stretches through a good part of Ukraine and now all the way up to Kharkiv because of missiles. Then we have the long-range missiles and drones happening on a daily basis and pretty much 24/7 in Odessa and other key cities in Ukraine. And then we have the hybrid or gray zone warfare that Russia's employing. But just today was a pretty scary hit on Odessa. One of the two main ports was hit by Russian missiles. This was an area where grain destined for Asia and Africa is being loaded onto ships. And also there are really important storage terminals there for things like sunflower oil. And a Singapore-owned facility was also hit, according to President Zelensky. So, let's call a spade a spade. This is a direct Russian attack on a critical part of the global food supply chain. And you wonder whether Western nations might think about deploying the same kind of muscle they have as in the Red Sea to the Western Black Sea, where a lot of this food goes to world markets.
We also know that Russia has been targeting Ukrainian infrastructure, civilian infrastructure. We're talking about power plants, the electric grid. How is that impacting the country right now?
Very, very badly. One of the key providers of electricity in Ukraine has lost 100% of its generating capacity. Other key providers have also been badly hit. And this is not just, for example, in Kharkiv. This is nationwide. We're starting to get blackouts in Odessa as well. And the thing there is the port operates on electricity. If there's no electricity, these ports can't function. And just in the past 24 hours, a key railway station in Dnipro in eastern Ukraine was hit and dead and injured there as well. So Ukrainians are looking at a possible near-term future where there's going to be lots and lots of power outages. And again, this is also going to impact on the Ukrainian economy, which is on very shaky ground as it is after more than 2 years of war.
What did you make of the recent comments by President Zelensky after the defense of Israel, that big Iranian bombardment? He seemed to imply that there was a bit of a double standard, saying that Ukraine should get the same kind of treatment, the same kind of defense from its Western allies that Israel did.
Sure. Let's be clear on one thing. There's a common enemy here, Iran, and they've been providing Russia for the longest time these very lethal drones that have been sent day after day after day in huge waves to key Ukrainian cities and ruining Ukrainian infrastructure. And of course, the Iranians have been aiming or threatening Israel either directly or through proxies. And the West seems to have, a bit of a double standard. Now, having said that, I think Israel is coming around to recognizing, Israel has a lot of muscle, coming around to recognizing that Ukraine needs robust defenses as well. Carl, I spoke to Ukraine's ambassador to Canada today, and she said at an absolute minimum, Ukraine needs about 7 Patriot batteries to defend key Ukrainian cities, along with ammunition and other sorts of things. And, even where I am here in Canada, Justin Trudeau, warm, fuzzy language about defending Ukraine. But you know what? At the end of the day, words don't stop Russian missiles the same way patriots do. So I hope Western leaders have to think about that.
Well, and just south of the border, of course, we'll be seeing a vote in the U.S. House of Representatives on a Ukraine aid bill. What kind of impact do you think that might have? Is this something that would be able to start to stave off these Russian advancements we've been seeing?
Well, my fear is that it's coming a little bit too late. Of course, it's going to be welcomed by Ukraine. Ukraine is, and diaspora community have launched a huge campaign to lobby U.S. legislators, but it's the same as what happened since the beginning of the war. This is a drip, drip, drip kind of feed of assistance to Ukraine. Now, Having said that, a lot of this money, especially the money for military support, will stay in the United States. It'll go to defense contractors. But there's a lot of, a few billion in there designated for budget support. So Ukraine will be able to deploy that to pay pensions, teachers' salaries, things like that. If this aid does not come soon, a lot of analysts are now beginning to think that the Russians will get further. They could occupy Ukraine within, say, 2 years. And of course, as Speaker Johnson, who I think has had an epiphany overnight, said in the past 24 hours that if Ukraine is not defended, the Russians will go further into Poland, into the Baltic states, and eventually U.S. troops would have to get involved. So that's pretty scary.